Ever wish you could like read a company's mind?
Hmm.
Not just like the polished, public face they put out there,
Right.
but the internal stuff,
Yeah.
how they really think about things,
Yeah.
the why behind the what.
Absolutely.
Well, today we're doing exactly that.
Oh.
We're diving deep into the inner workings of EnsoDX.
Okay.
They're a consulting company, and they specialize in building digital experiences.
I see. Interesting.
I love it when we get to do this. Honestly, you can tell a lot about a company by the way they talk about themselves, even internally. It's like a blueprint, right? We're not just talking logos and fonts here. This is about their vision, their values, the whole shebang.
Yeah. And right off the bat, their tagline kind of jumped out at me. Scaling digital experiences. What do you think? Feels like they're aiming for something pretty substantial, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Scaling is the key word there. It tells me they're not just building websites. They're thinking about growth, about creating experiences that can evolve with a company. They're playing the long game, it seems.
It's like what we're trying to do here, right? Help our listeners scale their own knowledge and perspective.
Exactly.
That is way more than just throwing a homepage together, huh?
Yeah.
And speaking of intriguing, their name, EnsoDX, really caught my eye.
You know what's really interesting about that? They've actually worked Eastern philosophy into their whole digital strategy.
Really?
That Enso part. It's a reference to the Japanese Enso symbol.
I don't think I'm familiar with that.
It's this really elegant, minimalist circle.
Like the one in their logo.
Exactly.
It's very simple, but it definitely makes an impact.
And there's a lot more to it than you might think.
Okay.
In Zen Buddhism, the Enso represents things like harmonious cooperation, simplicity, freedom, even the idea of embracing imperfection.
Interesting.
And get this, these are all principles that EnsoDX values themselves. It ties into their whole approach to agile development too.
Wow, that completely changes how I see their name now. It's more than just a cool name.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole philosophy.
It really is.
Even more interesting, their logo, the Enso symbol. Just that.
Bold move. It's like they're saying, our work speaks for itself.
Exactly. There's a lot of confidence there. And they back it up with what they call an MVP upwards philosophy.
Hold on. For those of us who don't speak startup, what's that mean?
So MVP, minimum viable product. Basically, start with the core essentials, then build from there.
So the logo's the minimum, but it represents something deeper.
Yes. It shows their focus on strategy. Strategy drives everything they do.
Minimalist on the surface, strategic at their core, clever. Now, the colors they use, it's earthy but modern,
Another deliberate choice. Their color palette comes directly from their 5 principles.
Principles, not values.
Yeah. They use the word principles to show these are fundamental to how they operate, not just buzzwords.
All right, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me. What are these mystical principles?
Getting things done, which I love.
Practice.
Right. Then pragmatism, continuous innovation, accountability, and partnership.
Those are refreshingly concrete, not the usual vague company value stuff.
I know. And each principle has a color link to it. They use them consistently across their branding.
Subtle.
Yeah.
I like it. But they don't just stop at colors, do they? They made an interesting choice with their imagery, too.
Oh, absolutely. And this is one of the coolest parts. They're all about using AI-generated imagery.
So, no more cheesy stock photos.
What?
Makes sense, given they're a tech company.
Right, but it's more than that. They're using it to position themselves as non-traditional, which is smart considering their target audience mid to large companies.
Those companies have probably seen it all when it comes to generic stock photos.
Exactly. By using AI-generated imagery, EnsoDX is saying, we're on the cutting edge. We know how to use tech in new ways.
Which is exactly what those clients are looking for. They're like, we're not afraid to be different.
That's really clever. I like that. Each piece of their branding kind of builds on the others. Okay, so bold visuals, check. What about how they actually talk about themselves, though?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm picking up on this. I don't know if quiet confidence is the right phrase. Like, they want people to see them as the experts, but without being, shouty about it.
Yeah, you're spot on there. They actually mentioned drawing inspiration from organizations like the WHO.
Really?
Yeah. They're not just talking about like building websites.
Right.
It's data governance, marketing automation,
Right.
even AI.
Wow.
It's all about establishing trust, credibility,
Yeah.
showing they have a deep understanding of this whole digital world, especially as it keeps changing.
And it's not just talk either. I mean, they really walk the walk, especially in the Sitefinity community.
How so?
They're super active on the forums, always sharing knowledge. They even have that scholarship program with Istanbul Technical University.
Oh, yeah. That scholarship is a really good example of how they put their money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
Like, it was actually inspired by one of the founders' own experiences, shows their commitment to giving back, helping new talent in tech.
Makes them seem more approachable, too, more human.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked branding, we've talked community involvement, but what about the actual work itself?
They're very clear about wanting to be seen as consultants, not just a web agents, you know?
Yeah, it's a bold move. Like, we're not just order takers, we're strategic partners.
Right. And that stands out, especially in a crowded market.
Big time. And the way they use language in this document reinforces that whole idea.
Totally. Like, they describe themselves as shirt and tie, but also experts, not implementers.
Interesting combo. So professional, but also willing to get their hands dirty.
Exactly. Speaking to businesses who want that deep expertise, but also a collaborative approach.
They're Sitefinity experts, but they offer a whole range of other services too, don't they? It's like they're a one-stop shop for anything digital, not just Sitefinity.
Yeah, exactly. And beyond development, they do audits, governance consulting, operational support, like you said, the whole package.
They even mentioned experience with complex integration. Right.
That says a lot about their technical knowledge.
Definitely. And, you know, their partnership with Progress, the company behind Sitefinity, that's huge.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Well, what does that even mean for their clients?
Well, being a trusted service delivery partner basically means they've got the official thumbs up from the people who created Sitefinity.
Oh, I see.
That level of trust, that's got to mean something.
Like getting a seal of approval from the masters. Okay, so they've got the skills, the industry recognition, but what about the people behind it all?
So this is where it gets really interesting. The founders, Joachim and Sabri.
Yeah.
Decades of experience. And not just time in the industry, but actual, deep knowledge.
Yeah, I think their bio said over 20 years combined experience.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's more than just the years, right? It's the range of projects they've worked on. Oh, okay.
Like Joachim, he's been working with Sitefinity for something like 15 years, across 5 continents.
Wow.
He's seen it all. Small business websites, all the way up to those crazy complex enterprise solutions.
This is someone who was building banking chatbots back in 2014.
Clown.
Chatbots. And digital kiosks. He even won a Pan Arab Banking Award for that stuff. Talk about being ahead of the curve.
It's amazing, isn't it, have that kind of foresight. And then he goes on to become a program manager, handling websites across 20 different markets. That's a masterclass in global coordination right there.
Absolutely. The guy was a digital pioneer from the get-go, and he was already comfortable with complex multi-market projects years ago. No wonder he's so adept at working with Sitefinity, cloud migrations, even AI, all that's mentioned in these documents. The guy's a walk-and-talk-in tech dictionary.
And it's not just theoretical knowledge either, right? He's a former Sitefinity MVP, a Telerik developer expert. Those are like the top honors in the Sitefinity world. You're not just getting someone who knows the platform. You're getting someone who helped build it, essentially.
Okay, so you're not just getting a website. You're getting a piece of the guy who helped shape the industry. That's a whole different ballgame. But what about Sabri? What's her superpower?
Sabri's got that deep in-the-trenches experience with Sitefinity. She actually started at Sitefinity HQ in Sofia, so she's seen the whole evolution of the platform firsthand.
That's got to be valuable.
Totally. I mean, that kind of insider knowledge, you can't beat that. Since then, she's been working alongside Joachim on these massive enterprise-level Sitefinity projects, dealing with everything from the nitty-gritty of back-end development to providing support, even managing entire teams. She's got the full package.
So you've got Joachim, the big picture tech visionary, and then you've got Sabri, who knows the platform inside and out and can actually make it all happen. What a team.
Talk about a power couple.
Yeah. When EnsoDX talks about scaling digital experiences, they're speaking from a place of deep knowledge and experience.
Right.
They've been there, done that, and learned from it all.
It's that combination of technical expertise, strategic thinking, and a genuine commitment to making a difference that makes them stand out.
Right.
They seem to understand that, in today's world.
Yeah.
It's not just about what you build, but how you build it and who you're building it for.
Absolutely.
It's clear they're not just building websites, they're building something bigger. EnsoDX, they're recognizing patterns, they're anticipating where the digital world is heading, and they're building for that future, not just the present.
It's like they're playing chess and everyone else is still trying to figure out checkers.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But you know what really struck me as I was going through all these documents? Their honesty, their willingness to be vulnerable. Because for all their success, they don't shy away from talking about their challenges, the things they're still figuring out.
You're talking about that section on blockers and pain points. That's what really got me too. They could have easily just presented a perfect facade, we're amazing, hire us. But they're willing to admit that they're still figuring some things out. It's refreshing.
Totally. And one of the things they're wrestling with is how to add value on social media without, being all salesy. Something a lot of us can relate to, I'm sure. How do you share your expertise and promote yourself without sounding like a broken record?
It's a tough balance, right? And it's interesting how that struggle actually ties back into their core principles. Getting things done, pragmatism, partnership. They'd rather let their work speak for itself, but they also know they can't just stay silent in the digital age.
Exactly. It's almost like they're a little too focused on just getting things done sometimes that they forget to toot their own horn a little, and their emphasis on partnership, well, maybe that makes them hesitant to be too self-promotional. It's a fascinating dilemma.
It really is. And it makes you realize that even the most successful companies, they're still run by humans with the same doubts and insecurities as the rest of us. It's kind of comforting, actually. Makes them seem more relatable. It's that human touch that really makes a difference. It's like they're saying, we get it, we're great at this, but we're not going to pretend to be something we're not.
So we've got a company with a carefully chosen name, a clear visual identity. They know their ideal client, and they're not afraid to be a little vulnerable.
What a case study, right?
It really is. And what strikes me is this all comes from really understanding themselves, their strengths, and who they want to work with.
Not trying to be everything to everyone, which is honestly where so many companies mess up.
100%.
Yeah.
They've found their lane, they're owning it, and every detail is intentional.
And that's something any business can learn from, even if you're not building websites.
Exactly. This isn't about one company, it's a mindset. It's about intentionality.
They didn't just slap together a website. This was thought out.
And they weren't afraid to embrace what makes them different, even if it goes against the grain.
Which is key.
So if you're looking for a team that understands the technical side of things, but also the human side, EnsoDX is worth a closer look.
I agree. They seem to have found that sweet spot between technical prowess, strategic thinking, and a genuine commitment to partnership.
And on that note, we'd love to hear your takeaways. What stood out to you about EnsoDX? What resonated with your own experiences or sparked new ideas? Let us know. We're always up for a good conversation. Until next time, happy diving.